Bom dia. I am so glad we have a new microphone today. This is great. So my name is Brendan. I'm going to be talking about how we're scaling PoolTogether. And as Mariano said, we launched V4 last Thursday, and it's orders of magnitude better than the previous version. So I'm really excited to talk about it. Um, Also want to acknowledge the organizers. This is my first time traveling in 2 years, like a lot of you, and I'm so stoked to be here and see everybody again. So thank you very much for setting this up. This has been a blast. It's been great. So before getting into the details, I want to talk first about what are prize savings. Not everyone here knows about it, so I still need to spread the good word. So prize savings it's gamified interest. So instead of earning interest on your deposit, you're actually having a chance at winning everybody's interest on all deposits. So there's a chance to have an outsized prize versus just a small amount of interest. And this is pretty significant for people with small amounts of money because interest is really good for people with lots of money because you can earn lots of money through, say, 5% APR. And this is in stark contrast to somebody with, say, who has $100, and the value proposition to them is like, okay, yeah, you can have $100 earning 5% APR over 5 years, or you could have a chance to win $10,000 every day. And it's a much simpler value proposition, and it has known psychological effects. People do love this. And this is in stark contrast. And also, so you do get your money back. So you have a chance to win this outsized prize, but then you get to get your principal back whenever you want. So it's a very cool, very simple mechanism. And this is in stark contrast to lotteries. So each year, Americans burn $70 billion in lotteries, huge amounts of money. And studies have shown in the past few years that 40% of Americans have less than 500 US in savings. So they don't have that rainy day fund. And that's $70 billion. That's basically a couple $100 per person. So they would have saved their money otherwise. So this is really unhealthy financial behavior that we need to fix. And people know this. So this system exists throughout the world. On the bottom left, you can see the UK premium bonds. This is actually the biggest one at $200 billion just in the UK alone. Each year they give away $1 billion in prizes, a ton of prizes. But actually a very cool side effect is that they also divert a portion of the interest to public goods. $9 billion a year goes towards public goods like hospitals, roads, any government services. So it's a great way to fund public goods, and it's something that we're interested in pursuing as well. In the States, you've got the Walmart Money Card. And this is interesting because the Money Card existed for a number of years, but in 2018, they introduced the Prize Savings Program. And this was special because the Money Card, it's like a card you load up, and then when you spend it at Walmart, you get benefits and all that stuff. But if you decide to take a portion of those funds, I believe it was minimum $500, and lock them so that you don't spend them, then you have a chance to win $1,000 at a certain frequency. And in 2018, 2019, they grew by $2 billion. It had significant growth. So it's clear that this is a really motivating factor for a lot of people, especially consumers at Walmart. And then finally, we have Commonwealth here, which is a financial nonprofit. And they have also started a savings program called Save to Win that operates across 35 states, in credit unions across 35 states. So it's also seeing some success. Now, blockchain. So, what is so great about blockchain? It's auditable. So that means the whole system's transparent. You can see exactly how it works. This is so unique. This is so incredible, especially for finance. There's no smoke and mirrors, nothing happening behind the scenes. It's really incredible. It's also provably fair. So as a consequence of that transparency, you can see who won and why, at least in our particular application. There's no one pulling strings. It's also globally accessible. So those programs that we saw, UK, United States, and in fact, dozens of other countries, only those citizens can access those funds or access those financial instruments. So using blockchain, we can access the entire world and create the biggest prize savings in the world. This is something that we're really excited about. It's also non-custodial. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to every single protocol. It really depends on the implementation, but at least in our case, We do not custody the funds, so your funds are secured by a smart contract that's been thoroughly audited. So there's no one tampering, there's no intermediary that's going to take a cut. It just lives in the code. It's also extensible, and a great example of this is in the past 2 versions, we've had something called pods. So when you deposit into PoolTogether, you get back tickets, and these tickets represent your chance of winning. But what you can do is you can combine these tickets together, just like an office ticket pool, to have higher chances of winning a share of the prize. And we've seen this become very popular with our users. It's very cool, but this is an example of different derivatives that you can make because the system is so composable. So it's really cool. It's really fantastic. Finally, it's user-owned. And again, it depends on the protocol, but in PoolTogether's case, the users own the protocol. They get to decide how many prizes they have, what assets are consumed, what chains it's on. They decide everything. There's no dictates by some central body. But as we know, the big disadvantage is transaction costs. Over the last 2 years, we've seen some serious bursts in gas prices, like upwards of 4,000 gwei, that is just unsustainable. And for PoolTogether, the average deposit is like $500, thereabouts. So when it costs $200 to deposit in, it's not exactly no loss anymore. And we really need to fix that. We have fixed that, and that's what we're so excited about. And this has been manifested by the rise of Ethereum L2s and EVM-compatible L1s. This is fantastic. 2 years ago at DevCon, I heard so much talk about ZK rollups and optimistic rollups. They were just very nascent back then, just ideas. But now we're seeing these hit production, and we're seeing the fruits of those people's labor. It's really exciting to see. And we're also seeing, due to Ethereum's popularity, EVM-compatible L1s. So even if you need to not necessarily be on Ethereum, you can easily port your dApp over to another chain and get those transaction costs that you want, that throughput that you want. So how have protocols been leveraging these so far? Well, they want to be available everywhere, and so they fork themselves. This is basically, you're cutting and pasting yourself onto these different chains. And that's great. It's great. Super portable, no problem, except that you're fragmenting liquidity. So take Sushi, for example. They've done an amazing job forking themselves, and I believe they're on over 24 blockchains now. I mean, when I say chains, I'm including L2s. I know purists would probably not like that, but it's just easy. So L1s and L2s. But that means that slippage is different on all these different chains, which is unfortunate. They need to share that liquidity somehow. So while it's great being there, there are certain drawbacks, as well as fragmented control. Now you need to somehow spread governance across all these different chains, which is not necessarily a simple task. And PoolTogether, we've done the same thing. So we're on Celo, Polygon, Ethereum, and Binance. And each prize pool is a separate pool, unconnected, unrelated to the others. We've got a USDC pool. We have a DAI pool, Comp, Uni, Ohm now with the Ohmies. And none of them can interact with each other. All the liquidity is separated, so all the prizes are kind of fragmented that way. The prizes are smaller as a result. You don't get that big headline $1 million prize. I mean, sure, we could sum them all up, but it's not the same thing. And likewise, just either the same pools on Ethereum or pools across on other chains, none of them are connected. So it's been challenging for us because we've had a lot of pools on Ethereum, but now we've been moving to Polygon, but then we have this bootstrapping problem. When you create a brand new pool, the prize is the interest. If there are no deposits, then there is no prize. And so it's very capital intensive to start a new pool. There's no kind of network effect where you can just plug a pool into a liquidity network and it instantly has access to prizes no matter how many deposits are in it. That's something that we've built. And so this is what PoolTogether v4 is we've linked all the prize pools together in 2 important ways. The prize liquidity, so that means the interest from all the different prizes is combined, and whether this is on the same blockchain and we're actually just moving tokens around, or if it's on different chains and we're actually just bridging them through token bridges, we're combining all the prizes together. And the interesting thing about pulling it all together is that we can actually do different assets as well. So we could have a stablecoin pool that is like Fei, USDC, DAI, all the different stablecoins, or peg coins rather. And so we can actually have a much, much broader asset base for people to deposit into. As well, we have the same odds for every prize pool. So really, I mean, given that they're all linked together, you can kind of think of it as a singular prize pool. But what we've done is we've changed the system such that we can actually push odds to each of these and mirror them across all the different pools so that no matter what pool you deposit in, you have the same chance of winning. We call this algorithm Tsunami because it brings a wave of prizes. Actually, you guys might have seen the ocean trophy emoji. That's kind of our meme that we've been pushing. And that represents Tsunami. That's this wave of prizes. And you know what? Since we launched I think it was last Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific, and then I flew out at 9 a.m. Pacific on Friday. It was like 12 hours, but we launched. And since then, we've had 1,100 users and 5 million deposits, and we've given away something like 800 in prizes. People are ecstatic that they're actually winning. This is a significant departure from the previous PoolTogether, where we had a very limited number of winners. And so we now use more of a statistical algorithm. So rather than actually explicitly selecting a winner, we have a sequence of winning numbers. Each user gets a certain number of picks based on their balance. So let's say they have 10,000 DAI in it, and the exchange rate is 10 to 1, so they get 1,000 picks. Each of those picks corresponds to a random number that we pseudo-randomly generate using their address and the index. And then that pick is compared to the winning number. The amount that matches determines their payout. So it's a statistical way of distributing prizes, and it allows us to scale indefinitely. It's pretty awesome, pretty amazing, and it's proved itself to be working very well. So what we can now do is we have this same prize, and we broadcast it to all the different chains. Well, not necessarily chains, but all the different pools on these different chains, or the same chain, doesn't matter. And people can deposit no matter where they are and get access to the same prizes. So it allows us now to start adding on new chains. We can add, Arbitrum, Avalanche, Optimism, Starknet, all these different new scaling solutions. We don't have the bootstrapping problem. We can just plug them right in. People have access to the main prizes. And not only that, but this network effect actually spreads to other forks as well. So we have had a number of forks of PoolTogether, and there hasn't been any incentive for them to join the protocol. But now there's a reason for them to tap into this prize liquidity, this shared prize liquidity. So they can easily plug in their liquidity and have access to the headline prizes that we offer. So something that I can't help but talk about are whales. And this was a significant problem with V3 because of the old algorithm of explicitly selecting winners and storing that on chain, there was a very low overhead, we could only do so many winners. It was like 20 winners or something like that. So as the pool grew and got bigger and bigger and bigger, everyone's chances of winning got smaller and smaller and smaller because we had the same number of winners, the same number of prizes. But with the new PoolTogether, we can have like 10,000 prizes. And that helps with whales because now we have this incredibly long tail. So while the whales, sure, they may consume a portion of those prizes, there's still a huge number of prizes that get awarded to a lot of different people. So you can see here, I don't actually know the count here, but we right now we're giving away about 1,000 prizes a day, and that's 3 orders of magnitude bigger than the number of prizes we were giving away before. Pretty incredible. So that has really improved the system. And so this illustrates as well how as the deposits increase and the pool gets bigger and bigger and bigger, now it's very easy for us to turn up the prizes to an arbitrary number, virtually unlimited. And so if the pool ever does become $1 trillion, which we hope it does, we can have any number of prizes. And so your odds of winning will always be the same, which is really important to make sure that what we call the small fish have a chance at winning. So in this way, we think we can scale PoolTogether and bring it to a global audience. Thank you very much.